Loving pranams at the lotus feet of our most beloved Bhagawan. In the previous episode, we were reading out a line from the Sathya Vahini, the Bharatiya Paramartha Vahini, where Bhagawan says, the very first experience in the history of Indian thought is the thrill of wonder. The devotee experiences wonder, the chamatkar, the miracle, which attracts the mind, because anything which is miraculous, anything which is filled with wonder, anything which is filled with beauty, anything which amazes you, the mind automatically gets attracted to that. Now, talking about the role of the mind, Bhagavan touches upon a very important aspect. In the same chapter, I'm referring to the chapter, the one alone, in the Sathya Sai Vahini. And Bhagavan speaks about a very interesting point. He says that in the Vedas, and he specifically refers to the Rig Veda, which is considered the oldest of the Vedas. Now, the verses in the Vedas, or the hymns in the Vedas, are referred to in Sanskrit by the name Rik. He says the Riks, or the hymns in the verses in the Vedas, speak about the Devas. And Swami translates the word Devas as the shining ones, the ones with splendor, the shining ones. And he says that the Devas are given various names. Though God is one, there are many ways in which God gets experienced or viewed. Like the same person is perceived as the mother, the teacher, the sister, the daughter, etc. God gets perceived in many ways. So the Vedas refer to names of many devas: Indra, Varuna, Mitra, Parjanya, etc. Bhagavan talks about all of this. And then he speaks about Indra specifically. Now, normally Indra, if you're familiar with Indian legends, mythology, the Puranas, Indra is always known as somebody who is the king of the Devas. But Bhagavan says Indra basically is the lord of the Indriyas, or the five senses. You know, the sense of sight, the sense of touch, the sense of smell, the sense of taste, the sense of hearing. So the five senses, the lord of these five senses. Now, when you experience the world through these five senses, through your eyes, through your ear, through your sense of taste, or through your sense of touch or smell, it's not the physical organ which actually experiences all this. What experiences the world through these five is basically the mind. Thus, the master of the senses is the mind. And the mind, through the senses, Bhagavan says, experiences the world. And Bhagavan says this particular aspect of the mind experiencing the world through the senses, the objective world and its pain and pleasure and all of that through the senses, Bhagavan says, is the aspect of Indra. Bhagavan says the mind can do one more thing also. It can also use all these senses to experience or turn away from the senses to also experience the ultimate reality, which is our reality, which is the fact that we are none other than the reflection of God. We are none other than what the Vedas would refer to as, or the Upanishads would refer to as Brahman, or the ultimate reality. We also God. Our reality is God. We are beyond the body, we are beyond the mind, and the mind can do that too. And that aspect of the mind turning inwards and discovering, helping us discover our own reality, that aspect of the mind is referred to as Rudra. That's what Bhagawan says. So when it turns towards the objective world, it's Indra. When it turns inwards, Bhagawan says the aspect, the mind, that aspect of the mind or that function of the mind is called Rudra. This reminds me of a beautiful example which Bhagawan would give of a lock and a key. So what happens is, if you turn the lock and the key, you turn the key towards a particular direction, it gets locked. You turn the other side, the same thing will open or will free you up. So Bhagavan often says, Mana eva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayoho. The mind itself is responsible for two things, bandha and moksha. It is the mind which locks you down, keeps you tied, keeps you in bondage. It is the same mind which also leads to moksha or leads to liberation. So Bhagavan says, when you turn the key towards the world, when you turn the mind towards the world, then you get locked. When you turn the mind towards God, you get unlocked. So linking this to the previous point, God is filled with wonder and awe, and anything about God is amazing. So what happens is, the more you read about Bhagavan, the more you listen to satsangs, the more you think about him. That absolute sense of wonder captures your mind, and the mind, whose natural orientation is to use the indriyas to experience the world outside, would actually turn inwards towards the Lord within. And after that, even when it experiences the world outside, in the world it sees the Lord in every breeze, in every ray of the sun, in the gurgling sounds of the water, in every person we come into contact with. Eventually you end up seeing the Lord. In pain and pleasure, you end up seeing the Lord. And that's the elevated state to which the mind can actually take you when it turns towards the Lord. And that's what the stories of great devotees and saints show us. In pain and pleasure and everything, they experience God. Swami would speak about Prahlada and says, when his father, the great devotee of the Lord Prahlada, when his father Hiranyakashipu wanted to punish him for chanting the name of Lord Narayana, in fact, Swami says that when he was this little child, was ordered by his father to be placed in the midst of poisonous snakes. Instead of being filled with fear, Bhagavan says in his discourses that the child would say, "Oh, Pannagashayi." Immediately those snakes reminded him about the Lord, his own Lord Narayana, who reclined on the serpent. So even in that, he saw the Lord, and that is the possibility that the mind has. It can do that. So all sadhana, everything that we do, all our participation in Sri Sathya Sai Seva organization activities is all meant to help us turn our mind towards the God, towards Lord, and eventually in the world also experience everything as entire. Swami says, Vishwam Vishnu Swarupam, experience the entire world and its pain and pleasure and everything as the Lord himself. That is the those are the possibilities which the Bharatiya culture talks about through the Vedas. By Bhagwan's grace, we'll explore this further, praying to Bhagwan that whatever we are absorbing goes much beyond intellectual understanding, and by his grace becomes an actual living experience. Jai Sai Ram.